Review. We're heading into another weekend of the federal government shutdown, and senators on Capitol Hill have still not found a way forward. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is floating a pledge to later vote on expiring health care subsidies, but only if Democrats first vote for a partial funding bill to reopen the government. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is seemingly dismissing the idea, but pressure is growing on congressional leaders in both parties to reach a deal, and tempers are starting to flare.
Press on for the middle class. Press on for the poor. Press on for the sick.
I'm trying to muster every ounce of Christian charity that I can, but this is outrageous. Real people are being hurt.
Well, joining us now is Dr. Casey Burgat, a political science professor at George Washington University. Professor, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thank you. Thank you.
Help the viewers at home. Many are asking, why don't Republicans just pass the bill? Because they have the majority, but they actually need Democrats on board. Talk about that.
They do. I mean, this comes down to the filibuster in the Senate, where, yes, it does take a simple majority to pass a bill in the Senate, unless you need to get around this filibuster. And an appropriations bill requires that you need to, if the Democrats want to stand up and debate this stuff, you got to get 60 votes to end that debate to ultimately get to that vote there. So while it does take a simple majority, and Republicans have it in both the House and the Senate, of course they have the White House too, they actually need Democrats to get on board to get around that filibuster that resides in the Senate.
Dr. Burgat, do Democrats actually, does this give them some leverage? And of course, the longer this goes on, is messaging important for both parties going forward?
Yeah, they have leverage in that the bill hasn't been passed yet, despite Republicans in both the House and the Senate being agreed on what the bill should look like and that it should pass right now. So they have very few levers of power at the federal level right now, and they know that with an appropriations bill, this is one of those few things where they can really put the gum in the works to slow things down, to make sure that their priorities are listened to get some guarantees that they otherwise wouldn't. They have a little bit of leverage, but it comes at a cost, right? And you mentioned the messaging here, where both parties are getting blamed for this. Now, the whole question is, will one party get blamed marginally more than the other? Both sides, they think they have the politics on their side right now, which is why we haven't seen any move from the left or the right to try to get a deal hammered out. Messaging is going to be critical, but right now we're just forgetting about the everyday Americans who are impacted by a shutdown. Right now in D.C., it's talked about this as like this game that I think a lot of folks back home are frustrated with, and they have a right to be so.
Well, Dr. Burgat, you talk about everyday Americans. They're the ones that are impacted by this. Where can both sides make concessions to get this government up and running again?
It's a really simple equation right now for Democrats. All they care about is that if they get an extension of the Obamacare subsidies, then they're willing to sign on to the rest of the bill, open the government up, and then negotiate about everything else that they disagree with. For Republicans, their message is that we'll negotiate on the other stuff when the government gets back open, that you can't use the appropriations process as this political football. Both sides are not willing to compromise on this stuff right now, but right now it's that singular issue that's preventing the government from opening back up.
You know, Dr. Burgat, some folks wonder, how can this be avoided in the future? We've had people write in asking, well, why should they get paid if other government and federal employees are not getting paid? But we know, unlike maybe some everyday voters, Congress would never vote against their own interest and vote on a law that would prevent them from getting paid in the event of a shutdown, right?
It's even more constitutional than that written in the Constitution itself, that members of Congress are paid independent of annual appropriations bills, which is what we're talking about here with the government shutdown. They constitutionally have to get paid. There's a fund there that is for their services. It's separate from the government funding bill. And so to pass a law wouldn't even be enough to say we won't get paid unless the government is open, which makes sense in a lot of voters' minds, and mine too. In fact, they'd have to pass a constitutional amendment to make that happen. And we know how tough those are to get done.
Dr. Casey Burgat, thank you so very much for joining us.
Anytime. Thank you.